I'd made coffee earlier than usual that morning, a French roast I'd hidden in my desk drawer, because the espresso in the break room was as bland as rainwater. Rather, it was rainwater mixed with disappointment, and this morning it was both. Seattle never fails to turn a meeting into something that looks like the slow motion of a mild depression. I walked into the conference room at 8:56 a.m. Deborah is still not present. She is never on time, but always appears as if everyone is waiting for her. I sat down in my usual chair, next to the projector, near the electrical outlet, right in the middle of the dim light from the large glass door. People around whispered, tables and chairs moved. Troy, the intern, was wiping his glasses with the hem of his shirt. A girl from the marketing department smiled wryly as she opened her laptop. No one said anything to me. They were used to my quiet presence. The air component had source code. Deborah walked in at 9:02, latte in hand, ivory blazer, wavy hair, the scent of jasmine perfume following her throughout the room like an implicit declaration of untouchable power. She glanced at me, didn't nod, didn't smile. There's no need. I have completed the entire presentation. Slide deck. Data reporting. Audit checkpoints. Each chart runs using the same code I wrote last Thursday night. You just need to click a key. Morning, everyone, Deborah said, her voice a little hoarse, like someone who'd just been on the phone at 3 o'clock at night with someone burning a candle at both ends. Excited to dive into Q4? Let's keep this agile, yes. She pressed the remote. The slide appears. Company logo. New slogan, powering tomorrow's insights, also proposed by me, but signed with her name on Trello. I said nothing. Just record the line. Slide 1. Check. Attribution. Missing. The second slide is a table with an automatically updating chart. She passed by without bothering to explain. Our backend flow has been fully synergized to reflect real-time intel, she said, waving her hand as if introducing a cocktail. It's been a transformative quarter. I heard the sound of my pen making a soft sound on the paper. Purple ink because it's not as bright as red, but still stands out enough to read again later. Troy nodded vigorously as if listening to a podcast. Then the CEO appeared on the Zoom screen. The image is blurry, frozen as usual. Nice work on the automation layer, he said. That dashboard logic, clean, fast, smart. Who ran point? That was the moment I stopped writing. Deborah took a sip of her latte, smiled softly, and said, honestly, I could do Rachel's job in my sleep. A few small laughs rang out. A frown from the product manager. Troy glanced over at me, seemingly waiting for a reaction. I don't give them that. I just nodded. A slight, precise nod. Not agree. It's confirmation. Like an assassin quietly taking orders. There was a slight click in my head, like when you launch a series of scripts with a cron command. No fancy, no alarm. I bent down and wrote a new line on the corner of the paper. Operation Sleepwalker begins. No one in the room asked me what I thought. No one said, she wrote that part. They were used to it. In a room where adults sit silently for fear of losing their seats, the truth is often kept in silence. That wasn't the first time Deborah looked down on me. But that was the first time she said it so loudly. Clear. Public. Under the Zoom camera lens. Under the LED lights of the meeting room. To those who think Logic is an app they haven't downloaded yet. Everyone moves to the next slide. I'm still sitting there. My purple pen flicked again. No need for revenge. No need for words. Just, let's see what she can do in her sleep. On Fridays, the office is always quieter than usual, but tonight it was almost silent. The rows of tables were empty, leaving only pale white fluorescent lights and the sound of rain tapping on the glass window like monotonous programmed music. I hung my soggy jacket on the chair, the cold air clinging to the fabric as a reminder. I'm the only one still here. No takeout, no background jazz as usual. Just an unfinished cup of Starbucks coffee, dark, bitter, and cold like Deborah's voice when she texted me on Slack at 4:47 p.m. The message has a kiss mark. She always uses emojis as a disguise for her laziness. I sent the correct link this morning. She didn't open it. As usual. I opened the dashboard backend system. Each line of code appears like lines of text on a diary that only I can read. The diagrams Deborah often shows off are essentially threads of logic woven by my hand, step by step, condition by condition, operation by operation. She asked me once, in a meeting, can't we just make it all more automated, like without the boring bits? I nodded, and in silence, I did just that. I write 3 more hidden lines of code, 3 switches. No one checks because no one understands. No one understands because no one asks. Now it's time to activate. I start at the lowest level of the system, disabling backups. Finished. Next, turn off any error warnings. The system won't signal if there's a problem. Finally, I removed the automatic data refresh mechanism. The dashboard will display the last time data was entered correctly. Afterward, there will be the polite silence of an unlocked door, but no one knows the way in. Everything remains intact on the surface. The interface will appear as usual. But when Deborah clicked on the links during the Monday morning meeting, nothing. No data. No error. Just nothing. Like a room she thought had a dining table, but walked in and found herself standing in the mop room. I program weekly reports to automatically send out from the joint account at 6 a.m. on Monday morning. I added the prompt, see updated Q4 dashboard here. That link leads to the dashboard, the version that no longer has a valid path. I clicked save, confirmed the cron job, and then disabled the driver. Under the white light, I leaned forward and sat up straight, looking at the code I had just tweaked. Each letter is a sentence she once said, but now I respond with a single click. I whispered, almost silently. And then I hung up. I stood up, put on my coat. The moisture seeped from the fabric into her skin like a final warning, something Deborah would never feel until it turned into thunder. On the way out, I turned off all the lights except for a desk lamp I left on, a dim light, quietly shining on the server's loading screen. She didn't know that the system was still working. It just didn't work for her. She walked in like she just created Excel. Hair neatly combed, purple striped blazer, eyes scanning the table as if checking to see if the stage had enough audience. Deborah always had a way of walking into a conference room that made people feel like they were just running late, even if they had already been seated for 10 minutes. I was there before 8:45. The chair is close to the wall, near the electric outlet. The book is open, the purple pen is in place. I took sips of black coffee, still steaming, no need for milk. Across the table, Troy was looking over a box of donuts, hesitating between maple glaze and chocolate sprinkles. He chooses both. Deborah didn't choose any. Good morning, team, she said, placing her bag on the empty chair as if it had a title in the department. Excited to see where our numbers are this week? Let's pull up the dashboard, shall we? She turned her back and typed on the computer. I don't look at the screen. I don't need it. I looked at her collar, which was slightly folded, a sign that she didn't have enough time or patience for ironing last night. For the first time in months, I realized Deborah was preparing. And that makes me even more certain that my plan is on track. The big screen lights up. The first slide appears. Q4 forecast, powered by Deborah Vision. The name still makes me laugh, but not today. She clicked the button to switch to the main tab of the dashboard. A blank space appeared, then familiar, but not to her. Text appeared in the middle of the screen. I heard a gentle breeze from the ventilation system and the sound of Troy's half-bitten donut falling onto the napkin. Deborah frowned. That's odd. She clicked again. Same result. Click next. This time she opened another tab, and then another. All are white. The chart is not displayed. Colors do not load. Maybe the Wi-Fi's slow, she said, her voice slightly higher than usual. Troy, can you check the router status? Troy, still chewing, looked up. I think we're all good. I'm in Slack? She muttered, could be a sync issue, then opened another file. White again. I sat there, marking each word in my notebook. Not because I needed to write anything, but because people needed to see me writing. The kind of quiet action that makes people wonder. Deborah Zoe Lai, Nu Quoit Song RA. While Rachel usually runs this part, I thought it would be good for us all to be a little more cross-functional today. A few eyes turned to me. I looked up, calmly. Should I wait, Toi Hoi, Jong Dune, until you have access to your Deborah Vision folder? Silent. Not the usual kind of silence, but the kind that makes one listen to the flashing lights. All movement stopped, including the CEO's on Zoom, his face frozen in an incomplete blink. Deborah said nothing for the first 2 seconds. Then she laughed softly, a high, hollow sound like someone tapping a spoon on an empty wine glass. Let's pivot, she said. We'll revisit the dashboard in a follow-up session. She turned away, moving the slide with a stronger click than necessary. The slide is just an old chart from August. The meeting lasted another 15 minutes. No one asked me anything. No one asked her anything. Everyone took notes. But no one laughed when she made a joke. No one applauded when she concluded. It was a very specific absence of sound, like when you realize the radio is still on, but no one is listening. As everyone stood, Deborah quickly put her laptop in her bag. I heard the zipper click like scissors cutting through an old afternoon. She left the room first. High heels clicked on the tile floor as if gradually asserting that I was still in control, but I knew that sound was just the last echo. Deborah named it Masterclass. I think of it as a silent karaoke session with my own code playing in the background. Monday, late October. Seattle is cold after the long rain from the weekend, leaving water streaks gently rolling on the glass of the meeting room that someone has called the dream room. It's unclear whose dream it was, but this morning, it was the site of the company-wide automation showcase. More than 20 people. Nitro-style cold coffee. A plate of half-open donuts lay on one side of the table. I arrived early, chose a seat near the back, a seat close to the wall. Black coffee without ice. Notebook is open. Deborah walked in at exactly 9 o'clock, wearing a blazer with shiny gold buttons like some startup logo. Her eyes were a little swollen, her cheeks a little thick with makeup, but still the walk of someone who believed she controlled the room. Good morning, everyone. Ko Bat Dao, Zhang Chao Han Thuang Lo. So excited to share what I've been working on behind the scenes. This system, this automation engine, it's not magic. It's just logic. She pressed the remote. The first slide appears. Deborah Vision, the future of smart ops. See blue background. Font like in a toothpaste advertisement. I heard someone stifle a laugh. Troy? Maybe. I didn't look. I just tapped my cold brew. Co-teep TUC. We've refined our reporting layers for real-time insights. Let me walk you through a live data poll. That's when I looked up. She opened the dashboard. But not a real dashboard. It's the version I used to train new interns, the sandbox version, full of fake data with customer names like Buzz Aldrin and Oprah Tacos. She clicked on the Run Live Feed button. Screen pops up. Congrats. You haven't broken anything. Yet. This is a sandbox. The meeting room was silent for a second, then laughter rang out from the left. An intern tried to hold back, but couldn't keep up. Deborah clicked her lips, her hands shaking slightly as she clicked out of the window. That's just a staging environment. Let's pivot, talk logic layering. She clicked onto the next slide, a pastel flowchart with arrows running around it. So here's where the monthly data meets our lead pipeline, she said, pointing to the intersection. All you do is hit refresh and boom. She pressed refresh. The message appears. Permission denied. Superuser access required. She shut up. This time, no one laughed. No one coughed. She stood there, the mouse still in her hand, her index finger curled up like she was about to cry. She turned back to look at me. Rachel, she said, trying to keep her smile. Any idea why it's not loading? I put down the glass and looked straight. Since that endpoint sits behind the lock we set last spring, you'd need superuser clearance. Toi dap, ne nu geo. Remember when someone accidentally pulled HR data into the marketing folder? Legal nearly fainted. She blinked. Oh! Right. No one saved her. Not a single voice intervened. The meeting room was silent, as if waiting for the order to turn off the lights. I leaned forward, my voice loud enough to hear. Should I explain the logic, or will you wing the back in two? Deborah Quay D. Let's circle back. The next slide appeared, no one looked. She talks about seamless triggers and macro alignment. I don't take any more notes. I just count. Wrong terminology 8 times. 3 conceptual iterations. Once called sequel logic. The masterclass ends with a slide that says, "We empower transparency." No one clapped. No one asked. Deborah stood there for a few more seconds, then said thanks and closed her laptop. I stood up, not in a hurry. The crowd left slowly, as if they were walking out of a show that no one dared admit they had booked. By the end of the day, she didn't text anything. No Slack. No emails. No heart emoji. But at 9:18 p.m., I got the Google Drive notification. Edit request. Deborah Lister wants to access. forecast_main_v2.qfx. I laugh. It wasn't because she asked for permission, but because in the end, she realized she had no power. The office was strangely quiet. Not because there was no one around, but because no one dared to speak loudly. Slack stays on. Emails still come. But good morning greetings became shorter. Hey replaced with morning. Emojis are completely reduced. There are more ellipses waiting on the text input bar than usual. Deborah's door had remained closed since the beginning of the week. No lock. Just close. Like someone who needs some time to collect themselves. Or try to believe that if they don't leave their seats, the power will still be there. I didn't ask anything. I only walked into meetings where she was no longer chairing. Nodding instead of opening words. Led client calls as if I were officially appointed. No one objected. No one checked. Rob from the Ping marketing project, I asked. Hey, Rach, can you join the 2 p.m. sync? Deborah's, kinda MIA. I replied. Already on the calendar. That afternoon, while cleaning out the group Google Drive folder, I rediscovered what Deborah had rearranged to fit her style. In an old folder named vision_pastel_decks, I see a file that was deleted but not permanently deleted. Deborah Vision Final 2.pptx. I downloaded it. Open up. First slide, company logo replaced with competitor logo. Second slide, automation dashboard system analysis table. Third slide, flowchart, familiar pastel colors, but the algorithm, logic, and even margin notes are all mine. She sent this copy away. Metadata doesn't lie. Created October 12th. Sending from company email. Original file forecast_main_v2.qfx mine. She didn't just plagiarize. She removed my name. Replace with proprietary logic from DV Suite. I don't send it to HR. No explosion. Do not attach screenshots to management. I only open Gmail. Create new email. No opening. No wishes. No signature. To Deborah Lister. Subject: sleep well. Attachment: Deborah_vision_final2.pptx. I hit send. Don't breathe heavily. 12 minutes later, my phone vibrated. Email from her. No subject. What do you want? I don't answer. It's not because I'm being high-handed, but because I don't need anything else. The next day, Rob forwarded an email from the CFO asking me to lead a call with the strategic client because Deborah's bandwidth is unclear. I opened the meeting, present the dashboard, answer the questions as if I were the one who built it because I am the one who built it. No one asked about Deborah. The following Monday, I arrived earlier than usual. Open the door to the office, still the coffee steam, the sound of the keyboard, the ceiling light. But something has changed. Deborah's door was slightly open. No one inside. The monitor screen is black. No mice. No latte cups. Only the ceramic cup with the words "Slay the Day" printed on it remained, lying precariously on the table next to the vision board. I walked in, picked up the cup. Light. Hollow. There's still a little lipstick mark on the rim of the cup. I took it out. Say nothing. And then, very gently, I dropped it into the trash can under my desk. No one looked. But I know they know. They no longer call it Deborah's dashboard. Now everyone just says, the engine. And I'm the one running it. On Friday morning, thick fog covered the streets outside, making the sound of dry leaves under shoes more audible than usual. I walked into the building, coffee cup in hand. No one greeted, but everyone nodded. Light. Polite. There is something akin to respect. The meeting room on the 6th floor, where the Q4 board review took place, still retains the same old smell, leather upholstery, newly opened markers, and a familiar kind of pressure that makes everyone adjust their collars even though they don't need to. Rob stood in front of the screen, presenting the report. He's clumsy but sincere. PowerPoint occasionally had the wrong font. A few words were typed incorrectly, but no one interrupted. Every time he mentioned the forecasting system part, he glanced at me. Thanks to Rachel Kane, our analytics layer has been fully rebuilt. And the forecast model now includes churn attribution, which we didn't have before. 3 times in less than 10 minutes. I didn't raise my head. Just lightly underline the notebook with a purple pen. The last slide slides into the screen. Legacy adjustments. Q2 manual overrides. A simple chart appears. 3 columns, showing adjustment data. Neutral colors. At the bottom, small text is almost invisible unless one is really paying attention. No one spoke up. But I heard the sound of the chair moving back slightly, the sound of the pen lightly tapping on the table. The CFO looked at me. This time, he did not turn away. After the meeting, when the room was almost empty, he walked over. I'm asking this system. He held up a printout of the forecast. Did you build it alone? I nodded. Yes. He looked back at the paper, then asked in a low voice. Does she know? I replied slowly. She never asked. He didn't smile, nor did he take any notes. Just nod once, steady, heavy, like a mark on an unsigned document. We will need to do a complete audit. Quietly, thoroughly. I picked up my bag. It's begun, I said. He nodded again and left the room. I left after a few minutes. When they reached the elevator, one of the new interns standing near the door turned around. Bright eyes. Hand holding clipboard. Miss Kane. Yes. How did you get promoted so quickly? I smiled. A small, unpretentious smile. Hard work. The girl nodded as if expecting something longer. But I won't say more. Because actually, I know, it's not just about working hard. It is clear. It's the right time. And knowing when to keep quiet. Deborah once said, legacy is what you leave in a slogan. But I learned something else. Heritage does not lie in slogans. It is in each line of the audit log and cannot be deleted. There are victories that require no applause, just silence at the right moment and a system that runs as it should. I don't need anyone to call me names. I just need to know that I did not choose to retaliate, but chose to let the truth speak. I've learned that sometimes the kindest thing we can do is not to stop someone from expressing themselves. In life, clarity does not require noise. It just needs to be at the right time and in the right way. And real respect doesn't come from slogans, but from what we consistently do when no one is looking. If this story makes you think of someone who has quietly walked through the wrongs, please share it. Because sometimes a heartfelt story is enough to heal.